You have the ADL that is pushing the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which will smear anyone as anti-Semite if you don't support the genocide in Gaza, if you are critical of the military actions of Israel. It is so batshit crazy that even Wikipedia is controlled by Zionists, my friends. Even Wikipedia don't view ADL in the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism as credible. You want to know who does? You want to know who's lobbying and successfully lobbied to push fascism on people in the West? Hundreds of Jewish groups. I said, I'm so tired of people legitimizing this stupid bullshit. I don't believe in your stupid fucking God. Stop trying to force me to. Fuck you and your dirty apartheid state from the river to the sea. And this is the part that pissed a lot of people off here. Which shows, and it reveals how naive and how much of a youthful idiot they actually are. I said, fuck you and your stupid tiny hats. Because I'm shit posting. It's my page. And I'm allowed to be triggered when I see starving children. The idea that it's our job to be in perfect control of our emotions as these Zionist motherfuckers are starving children. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to be triggered when I see 99% of Jewish institutions support genocide. I'm going to be triggered when I see synagogues promoting the anti-Semitism hoax used to crack down on our free speech. So why isn't it upon us to be in perfect control of our emotions as Jewish people refuse to say anything about genocide? So I will admit that I probably went a little bit too far here. I'm mature enough to admit this, but I will still double down and say that this is not even anti-Semitism. I will tell you right now that I think I went a little bit too far with this tweet right here, because I am fucking pissed. I'm literally rage tweeting this. Look, you guys see the time? It's 6 a.m. 6 a.m. I'm in the morning seeing dead children, and I will admit that a lot of the things I said in this thread was said out of anger. But I'm allowed to be angry at these genocidal motherfuckers. And people who are saying that I was anti-Semitic for saying this, I will say I will absolutely not. Because, as I mentioned before, anti-Semitism used to be people who denied the Holocaust. People who used to be anti-Semitic used to be people who have a searing hatred for Jewish people, which I do not have. Now, the new definition of anti-Semitism apparently is people who Jewish people dislike. An anti-Semite is someone who says something rude to Jewish people now. Fuck you and your stupid tiny hats is a rude thing to say. I am angry. It is 100% a rude thing to say. It is not an anti-Semitic thing to say. Since when is making fun of religious people's hats off the table? Is that where we at now? Is that the level of brainwash that people are dealing with when it comes to Jewish supremacy? That you've been brainwashed so much that we can't even make fun of religious people's hats? I am one of them edgy teenage atheists from the 2000s. And we went too far, man. I'm not like an edgy atheist no more. I appreciate people in their different beliefs. But I remember back in the day when people used to say, fuck Islam, fuck Christianity, fuck religion. But then the second you say fuck Judaism, all of a sudden you went too far. Do you guys understand? Why is that going too far? This is the question I keep asking. Why is it okay to say fuck Islam, fuck Christianity, and this is what edgy teenage atheists like me did throughout the entirety of the 2000s? A lot of you Gen Z kids don't understand, bro. You guys understand? This is before we developed class consciousness. We had people like Rush Limbaugh, George W. Bush Jr., and the evangelical Christians who were saying they invaded Iraq because God told them to. So there was an era of edgy atheism. And we used to say fuck religion all the time. And then wokeism happened. And now, ever since the dawn of wokeism, of liberal wokeism that served imperialism, now we can't even say fuck people who have bad beliefs anymore. So if you're one of these 99%, I'm gonna show you guys the receipts. If you're one of those 99.2% of these Jewish institutions who support genocide, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it with my whole ass chest. Fuck you and your stupid tiny hats and your trash culture. I'm allowed to say this because you're not God's chosen people. The idea we're supposed to support your claim as God's chosen people, you're a God chosen psychopath. You're Satan's chosen people. Starving people, and Jewish leaders can't even say anything about it. You have the ADL that is pushing the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which will smear anyone as anti-Semite if you don't support the genocide in Gaza, if you are critical of the military actions of Israel. It is so batshit crazy that even Wikipedia is controlled by Zionists, my friends. Even Wikipedia don't view ADL in the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism as credible. You want to know who does? You want to know who's lobbying and successfully lobbied to put fascism on people in the West? Hundreds of Jewish groups. Are we not supposed to say anything about this? Look at this. Hundreds of Jewish groups urged the NEA, the National, that's the teachers union, the National Teacher Union, to reject the ADL ban. So everyone sees the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism as toxic. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of Jewish groups not condemning it. They're not condemning it. They're not saying, hey, man, I think it's unfair. I don't think, even though we may disagree with these people, we think that people should be able to criticize the government of Israel. No, you guys realize hundreds of Jewish groups are trying and actively pushing for fascism on our community. But you want to tell me that your focus right now, as hundreds of Jewish groups are pushing for fascism, is to tone police a black Marxist because I insulted their tiny hats? That's your priority right now, Western leftists. Colombia limits speech and erodes safety by adopting IHRA anti-Semitism framework. This is the same framework that leaders in the UK has accepted. This is the framework that is being used in Germany to lock up, in the UK to lock up Palestine actions. And as they are doing this, as fascism is being implemented and endorsed by Jewish institutions, the priority of Western leftists is to spend their time protecting Jewish feelings. There's not enough words in the English language to describe how deeply unserious you have to be to promote the anti-Semitism hoax, considering the situation that we are in. And there's not enough words that I can use to describe how much I despise anyone who's legitimizing this. And everyone know, if I don't give a fuck about anyone's fucking. If you in the Jewish community and you got 99.2% of your institutions supporting a genocide, you should be embarrassed. You should be furious that people are mocking your religion and mocking your God and bastardizing it in such a way by tying it to a religious apartheid state. But instead of being furious about that, a lot of these anti-Zionist Jews are spending their time tone policing people. Instead of being deeply ashamed at what your culture is producing, they're spending their time yelling at black people for being too mean to them. Oh my God, how dare you critique the Jewish institutions, Nick? What about our feelings? Yeah, I know Palestinians are starving. Yeah, I know that Israel's committing a genocide. I know entire families are being wiped out and fascism is being implemented. But what about me and my feelings? You're making me feel uncomfortable, Nick. Don't you know you're making my Jewish family member feel uncomfortable when you refuse to separate Judaism from Zionism? It is not my job, and I am not doing this shit no more. It is not my job to do PR for you motherfuckers. It is not my job to do PR for Judaism. It is not my fault that your leaders decide to lay in bed with genocidal maniacs in the evangelical Christian Zionist church and Benjamin Netanyahu. I didn't do that. Your religious leaders did. And I am beyond. After seeing all these fucking dead children, I am not doing PR for Judaism no more. And if that makes you upset, too bad. Because there are a lot of people, there are a lot of ignorant, stupid motherfuckers who was melting down in my tweets who wasn't making any arguments. They was making emotional arguments. They wasn't making arguments against the point I was making, talking about how the rot in the Jewish institutions. They was making emotional arguments. And there was people that were telling me with a straight face. There was people with a straight face that were telling me like, hey, Nick, it's very unfair for you to tie Jewish institutions to Israel just because Israel says they're part of them. I'm like, I'm not doing it because Israel says that they represent the Jews. I am doing it because the Jews are willing to allow Israel to claim Judaism as something that they are protecting. So out of all the synagogues in the United States, how many are anti-Zionist? Apparently, I'm the only motherfucker who's interested in this kind of stuff because people in the middle of a genocide, your number one fucking concern is protecting the feeling of the Jews. So I looked it up and I found a very interesting article of an anti-Zionist synagogue and this person here who deserves a lot of credit like any anti-Zionist Jewish person does. You woke up after years of brainwashing and now opposing a genocidal state known as Israel, despite everything your religion told you, despite the massive pressure coming from your community, you are still resisting Zionism. So there is an anti-Zionist synagogue, a very well-known one in Chicago. I blank on this guy's first name. His last name is Rosen. The guy who's the chief rabbi of this anti-Zionist synagogue. So people will say, and the people who was reacting to my tweet in an emotional but not intelligent way, they'll say, Nick, you are doing the bidding of Israel by tying Judaism to Zionism. I'm like, no, I'm not. I am not in denial. You have all these chief rabbis who keep saying like, hey, yeah, I support the state of Israel. So who the fuck are you? Someone who is not Jewish to just say, oh, you're not really a representative of Judaism. Motherfucker, all the chief rabbis are telling you that they support this shit. So the chief rabbi of the anti-Zionist synagogue in Chicago was asked a question, how many synagogues in this country are actually Zionists and take an anti-Zionist position? You want to know how many synagogues in the United States support an anti-Zionist position? Only 30. Only 30. So when I saw this, look, Rosen estimates there are now some 30 other anti-Zionist congregations or prayer groups. So it includes people who like come together in prayer groups as well. So maybe like people who are not officially a synagogue. So there's not even 30 synagogues. This is 30 synagogues plus other Jewish groups. So out of all the synagogues and Jewish prayer groups, Rosen, the chief rabbi of the anti-Zionist synagogue in Chicago, says there are only 30 of them. Only 30 in the entire country. So how many synagogues are there in the United States? So for all the dummies that are like, hey, Nick, stop tying Zionism to Judaism. I didn't do that. 30 out of 3,727. Are we not allowed to talk about how crazy this is? You guys realize that this is less than 1%. 99.2% of synagogues support the Zionist regime. But we are not allowed to critique Jewish institutions and critique a religion that leads to 99% of institutions supporting genocide? Can you imagine if only 30 mosques out of all the mosques in this country condemn Al-Qaeda? Will people be like, oh, you can't critique Islam. That'll be anti-Islamophobia. You can't do that. Do you guys think people will have a cool, rational take about Islam? Like, this is like 0.8%. You can't make this shit up, fam. Only 0.8% of synagogues condemn Zionism and operate in an anti-Zionist way, but we're not allowed to critique this. And you want to know what's even more damning about this? Because you have less than 1% of Jewish institutions that oppose genocide, and then among those 1%, are they greeted with and welcomed with open arms by their Jewish brothers and sisters? Or is there a mutual understanding that we have different interpretations of Judaism and we're going to respect your opinion? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, the chief rabbi of the anti-Zionist synagogue in Chicago explained how he was met with massive retaliation by the other synagogues once he actively took an anti-Zionist position. And he was kicked off the Chicago Board of Rabbis because he opposed genocide and opposed Zionism. So how many times have you guys heard stories about anti-Zionist Jews being retaliated against by their own community? We hear it all the time. We interview people who are anti-Zionist Jews who explain how their family disowned them. People talk about this all the time. So anti-Zionist Jews will be like, oh my God, I was retaliated against by my community. But then whenever someone who is not a Jew say, hey man, I think that's fucked up. I think that's fucked up that they retaliated against you because you don't support genocide. I think the Jewish community is pretty toxic. They would then the anti-Zionist Jew would then get upset at you. Can someone explain why they get upset at you? Anti-Zionist Jews will explain and tell you all these horror stories. They will explain how many times have you guys heard anti-Zionist Jews say stuff like this? They will say, I fought my entire life to shake off the brainwashing that I had to go through as a child. So after they explained to me how they was brainwashed as a child to support genocide, I then turn around and say, hey man, I think the Jewish culture is pretty toxic. I think it's fucked up that they brainwash their children from a young age. Then they be like, Nick, how dare you? How dare you get upset at the Jewish community for brainwashing me? Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, motherfuckers. So a lot of these anti-Zionist Jews are starting to irritate me, man. In the middle of the genocide, they spend their time tone policing people. Now they're not yelling at their family. They're not cutting off their genocidal family members. It's everything about how you're making them feel. Everything is about me. Yeah. Come on, man. You get insult Jewish people. Come on, you're making us feel uncomfortable. This is them. They are centering. You got these anti-Zionist Jews that are centering themselves in the middle of the genocide and spend their time yelling at me. There was people in the Jewish Voice for Peace who unfollowed me because of this. You guys know that? You guys know how many anti-Zionist Jews unfollowed me because I was like, I don't believe this anti-Semitism shit is real. So in the middle of a genocide, as we're watching Palestinian kids starve, you know who they're centering? Isn't it interesting how whose feelings they're centering. They're not centering the feelings of the Palestinians who have their family murdered, who are being censored. They're spending their time yelling at the Palestinian movement and making sure that they accept the premise of the anti-Semitism hoax. And it's the same scourge of racism. Well, like you have Palestinians that will make a claim against Israel. You have Palestinians that say, "Hey, man, you have Israel that is shooting people who are collecting aid," and then people wouldn't believe them until a Jewish person says it. So Jewish Voices for Peace, and I'm gonna have one of the people from Jewish Voices for Peace, one of the people who follow me. They're gonna join me apparently for the Wednesday panel unless they pull out. Good luck. Because all the people who got upset at me for this tweet, all the people who thought I went too far, none of these people are willing to debate me over this. And none of these people are willing to explain why so many Jewish organizations are captured and punishing people who speak out against genocide. So let me read this for people who are only listening. Look, this is regarding the anti-Zionist synagogue in Chicago. To these congregations, support for Israel is almost a religious tenet of American Judaism. So, for a majority of congregations, majority of Jewish institutions, they explain how many times do we have to hear Jewish organizations explain how support for Israel is a founding tenet of their religion until we believe them. So do you guys understand how arrogant it sounds and how ridiculous it sounds? Because there's all these leftists who are in cult mode, who like, hey man, Israel does not represent Judaism. Israel does not represent Judaism. Israel does not represent Judaism. And then you have people who in Judaism like, hey, yo, we love Israel. Who are you to tell these followers of their own religion that they're wrong? The followers of their own religion keep saying that the core premise of their belief is the support of Israel. This is why these same Jewish people retaliate against anti-Zionist Jews for speaking out against the genocidal state of Israel, because they view those people as committing blasphemy. Anyway, let me continue this part here. Those who reject that tenet risk being cast out. So if you don't support the state of Israel and you're a Jew, you will be cast out of Jewish culture. So how many anti-Zionist Jews explain this to us? But it's somehow anti-Semitic when I say, hey man, I think this culture is kind of toxic. If they are canceling people for not supporting genocide. Can you imagine if people in the Black community was being kicked out and ostracized for their community for not supporting criminal, violent behavior? Can you guys understand how crazy and batshit? I can't even come up with a comparable analysis. Can you imagine Muslims being condemned if they don't support ISIS? Like, there's not even a comparable example I can give you guys. That's how far gone the American Jewish community is now. Because if you guys think I'm being too harsh, I keep imploring you guys to think about the inverse of this. Think about how people react in 99% of synagogues supported genocide. And then those same people condemned and financially retaliated against Muslims. Will there be this, oh, come on, guys, we can't critique the religion. Come on. There will be none of that. Absolutely none of that. Look, I think I want to say that word. Is that Zaydik? So that's the name of the synagogue here So that I'm going to say the anti-Zionist synagogue members, they explain how relatives will no longer speak to them. What? So in the Jewish community, you will be canceled by your own family members if you don't support genocide. But this is not something that should be condemned. This is why I say anti-Semitism isn't real. Because people call me an anti-Semite, guys, because I condemn this. I condemn the toxic Jewish culture where families are canceling their family members because they oppose starving children to death. You don't condemn that? Have your mind been colonized so much? Have you been brainwashed by Jewish supremacy? Are you so fucking intimidated by the Jewish mob that you won't say you condemn Jewish communities condemning and canceling their family members? You too afraid to say that? Because you guys realize that there are thousands of people on Twitter calling me an anti-Semite for condemning this. Because if you're one of the people who are canceling your family members because they oppose genocide, I will say with my chest, fuck you and your tiny stupid ass. So this is the discourse that I want to have. A lot of people don't understand. I love that my tweet got 2.5 million views. I'm glad I pissed off all the Zionists. And then, you know what's funny thing is, you had quote-unquote leftists, fake DSA leftists, that was locking arms with genocidal Zionists in order to smear black communists, in order to legitimize the anti-Semitism hoax to rob your free speech away. Do you guys understand how cooked the left is? They will form a coalition with Zionists to like, hey, Nick, you stupid motherfucker. Do you know anti-Semitism is real? Listen to the Zionist over here. He says anti-Semitism is real. How dare you question that? Dude, the left is cooked. Meanwhile, go on Redno. Go on any Chinese social media app. Do you think they're saying, technically, they're not Jews? Technically, we got to say, no. Go on Redno. They're saying the Jews are genocidal. The Jews need to be dealt with, bro. The average U.S. leftist will have their mind blown if they see what the fucking Chinese communists are saying about the Jews. Meanwhile, I am the anti-Semite of the week if you look at X. Bro, they are canceling me. But I triggered all these people, all these anti-Zionist Jews with Palestinian flags. They're like, oh my God, Nick, you are legitimizing. Why you are legitimizing, and this is the reason why people think anti-Semitism is real, because you're condemning my religion, the religion where my own family kicked me out. Anti-Zionist Jews, in one hand, they will talk about how they was retaliated against by their family members. They will explain how they lost job opportunities. And then in the second breath, they'll get mad at you for condemning this culture. Someone explain to me how this coherent. Someone explain to me why Jewish Voice for Peace is getting upset because I am mentioning how they themselves were victims of this toxic culture. So let me continue. You guys see, I've been having a lot of fun with this. Like, people like, Nick, don't you know you're in trouble? In trouble? Nick, I love discourse. I've been loving every second of this because now this is discourse that I am going to continue. And trust me, fam, I am going to finish it. Because I gave this a lot of thought and I got receipts for days. You know how many stories I have read where synagogues are putting pressure on the government to censor Americans, to censor people in the West? I have zero. If you get upset with me, if you cancel me over this, I am 100% okay with that. Because I'm telling you guys, after the fascism I have seen, after the children and after the gore I have seen, I am taking zero space on this. I am giving zero space to this issue. And I have zero tolerance for anyone who legitimizes this. Like their friend Zoran Mamdani, Zoran Mamdani, as we speak, is planning to fund the NYPD more so they can enforce anti-Semitism. fascist crackdown on pro-Palestinian groups. That is what Zoran Mamdani said he's going to do. Now you ask me why people on the left is upset when I say anti-Semitism isn't real. Are you still comfortable with saying anti-Semitism is real as these same people are calling Jewish people in their own community anti-Semites? They say labor unions are anti-Semitic. Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, he like, I got a rough estimate. I estimate around 50% of the entire world is anti-Semites. Then I laugh at these people and I say they are batshit crazy. And then people get upset at me for that? I'm fine with that. I'm fine dying on this hill, guys. I don't know about you guys. But I am seeing a scourge. The scourge of humanity, which is Jewish supremacy, which is implementing fascism all over the West. Meanwhile, you got Western leftists pussyfooting with this. As the UK and Germany descends into full-blown fascism, you got leftists in the United States pussyfooting with the anti-Semitism hoax and pretending this is real. This is absolutely bullshit. And fuck anyone who is legitimizing this. If you're an anti-Zionist Jew and you are legitimizing the anti-Semitism hoax, you are a youthful idiot of the Zionist regime and you are an enemy of the Palestinians. Imagine your family starving people to death. Imagine your people committing a genocide like this. If black Americans were doing what Jewish institutions are signing off on, I would be embarrassed. I go ham at the black community right now for things I critique them on. You understand how hard I would go against the black community if there was full-blown endorsement of a genocide? You know what? And meanwhile, anti-Zionist Jews are spending their time condemning us. Talking shit on us like, oh, God damn it, you fucking anti-Semitic leftists are making my job harder. Fuck you. How about that? Until you cut off your family members, until you convert your genocidal Jewish family members, I don't want to hear shit from you. As you're spreading the anti-Semitism bullshit. People on the left supporting the anti-Semitism bullshit. As Palestine action being locked up. And they think, and the thing is, these dumb leftists, they think they're playing fighting chess. They're like, oh guys, do you know we separate Judaism from Zionism? Then they will have no claim, they will have no right to crack down on us because we're not being anti-Semitic. As if these motherfuckers have a conscience. These dumb leftists think they are playing 5D chess because they're too afraid to critique Judaism. You are not playing 5D chess, and your weakness is still leading to the implementation of fascism. If you're an anti-Zionist Jew, how about you join a flotilla? Like our friend Chris Smalls. How about you put your body on the line? Like our friend Dr. Jill Stein. Dr. Jill Stein is an anti-Zionist Jew who was arrested. She put her body on the line. A frail old 70-year-old woman was brutally arrested by the police state because she put her fucking body on the line, standing against her genocidal people. Meanwhile, what you're doing as an anti-Zionist Jew is yelling at black communists. You're yelling at the left. Come on, you gotta be nicer to Judaism. Stop tying our beliefs to genocidal culture which we support. Until you get your ass arrested, I don't want to hear from you. Let alone you making this about you. You guys don't know how much these people disgust me? The anti-Zionist Jew making this genocide about you and your feelings. You upset because people on the left are saying anti-Semitism isn't real. You guys, you should have seen all the anti-Zionist Jews like, Nick, don't you know that your rhetoric is hurting me? Shut the fuck up. You talking about how much you're being hurt as we are watching Palestinian children being starved? You are a psychopath. All of you. You thought I was going to apologize to you? He's like, man, let's gang up on Nick and we're going to force him to apologize. Fuck you. If you're one of the anti-Zionist Jews and you get upset at me for saying anti-Semitism isn't real, either debate me, either give me hands, or shut the fuck up. That's where I'm at. You failed. The anti-Zionist Jew failed. Your job was to prevent your family and your community from supporting Zionism and genocide, and you failed. And you think you have the nerve to tell other people what is anti-Semitism or not? You think you have the nerve to wag your finger at other leftists and claim that they're anti-Semites? You know how many anti-Zionist Jews was calling me an anti-Semite because I had the nerve to say that the Jewish culture, which retaliates against them, is toxic? So I dare you guys. You guys know where I'm at. I post where I'm at all the time. We hold mutual aid events all the time. Pull up with that same energy. I dare you. Come on RBN with that same energy. We got someone from Jewish Voice for Peace. I don't know, he might cancel after this live stream because you have no idea what you signed up for. If you're an anti-Zionist Jew and you're upset at my rhetoric recently, you have no idea what the fuck you signed up for, because I am going to continue to call out this toxic, cancerous, genocidal culture until I see the number of synagogues who support Zionism being zero. You understand? Motherfuckers thought I was going to apologize. Nah, bro, we just starting this discourse, fam. Because the same people who got upset with me of all this, bro, because you guys should have seen it. It was a meltdown. If you don't actually know, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is the tweet I sent out that not only went viral, but had no controversy around it. Look, 174,000 views, 2,500 likes, 100 bookmarks on this tweet here. You know what I said in this tweet? I explained how I believe the black church is trash because so many black churches was endorsing Jim Crow Joe, thus endorsing genocide. You want to know how many of these quote-unquote anti-Zionist Jews, you want to know how many of these leftists got upset with me under this tweet? How many of these people like, hey, Nick, you can't call the black church trash. That is Christian phobia. I don't fucking know. How many people said that in response to my tweet? How many times have I done segments, fam? How many times have I called out how much the black church fucked us? I have been the biggest critic of the black church my entire life, and I have never seen anyone get upset at me whenever I criticize the black church. So my question is why? Why, whenever I say fuck these Jewish institutions support genocide, why am I being attacked for being anti-Semitic, but I'm not being attacked for being anti-black for saying the black church is trash? You guys see how many leftists, how many people in the West have been brainwashed into believing Jewish supremacy? The belief that Jewish people are above criticism? They will never say it. They will never say they believe in Jewish supremacy, but they 100% do, because you will never see them get upset at people saying fuck white America. I say it all the time. You can say fuck white America. You can say fuck the black church. You can say fuck Islam. You can say fuck Scientology. But the second you say fuck Judaism, you get canceled. You realize the only reason you believe this is because Judaism, Jewish supremacy completely destroyed your brain, right? So this tweet right here, I made with zero controversy. But the tweet I made critiquing Jewish institutions broke the internet and had every single anti-Zionist Jew on Twitter literally crying. So you guys sure you want to have the discourse? So if you think I'm wrong on the Jewish community being toxic, why do they keep going after you motherfuckers? Why isn't Jewish organizations not only supporting the anti-Zionist synagogue in Chicago, but uplifting it? I'm going to continue this. I didn't read this whole thing. The anti-Zionist synagogue Chicago members talk about the relatives who no longer speak to them. They talk about being fired. Bro, the Jewish community is so toxic, they are financially retaliating against their own people. for not supporting genocide. But anti-Zionist Jews don't like me because I think that there's something wrong with this culture that is retaliating against them. Someone explain to me. So the rabbi at the anti-Zionist synagogue was kicked off the Chicago Board of Rabbis. So if you're a rabbi and you oppose genocide, you will be attacked and destroyed professionally. Hey, Nick, it's not Judaism, it's Zionism. Do you guys know how stupid that shit sounds to me now? When people say, hey, Nick, it's not Judaism, it's Zionism. No, Judaism welcomes Zionism. And if you are part of Judaism, and if you're not a Zionist, you see what happens to them? Why are you guys pretending that anti-Zionist Jews are welcomed and beloved in their community? They're not, because their community is toxic. And there must be a reckoning at how Judaism is radicalizing people from a young age to hate Arabs. Why are synagogues being attacked for making statements against genocide? So all the anti-Zionist Jews who believe they're so right about their pristine culture on me, you guys realize I'm going to keep bringing this up to you guys forever now. So you guys realize, this is funny. This is another hilarious story that none of the anti-Zionist Jews will ever talk about. Hey, Nick, it's not Judaism, it's Zionism. There was a synagogue that put out a letter condemning Israel targeting civilians in Gaza. And then after this letter was released, it faced immediate backlash for the Jewish community, where screenshots was made and it was released, and the synagogue faced massive pressure from the Jewish community. Why? Did they face massive pressure from the Jewish community because they supported burning children alive? Nope. That's not why it faced pressure. This synagogue faced pressure and they eventually backtracked because Jewish people attacked their synagogue for opposing genocide. Look, backlash in synagogues over a letter attacking Israel's actions in Gaza. I thought it wasn't Judaism. I thought it was Zionism. I thought we couldn't separate the two, guys. Come on, man. You can't have both of them tied together. Look, the chair of the Finchley Reform said its council was not notified or consulted before 3 of its deputies added their signatures. So you had rogue Jews. There was rogue Jews in these synagogues who crafted this letter condemning the genocidal actions of Israel in Gaza. And then they was immediately condemned by the leadership of their own synagogue. And they said, hey, man, hey, this letter, once they faced press, they're like, this letter, hey, man, we had nothing to do with that, bro. We had some rogue Jews who condemned genocide. That had nothing to do with us. They said their council was not notified or consulted before their synagogue was tied to anti-genocide ideology. So let's look at the receipts here. We have 90%, actually 99.2% of American synagogues who support genocide and apartheid. And then the institutions that step out of line, they are then immediately attacked and condemned by other Jewish people in the community. Meanwhile, there are people on the left who said I'm an anti-Semite because I said I believe that this culture is toxic. So anti-Zionist Jews believe that you're an anti-Semite if you believe that the genocidal culture that is preached in Judaism, if you condemn it for leading to many people being genocidal, you're somehow condemned.